Hello, you're watching Local Lens. I'm Jenni Pastusak. In our community, we've had a lot of milestones this year in 2025. SU turned 50 years old, and we have a local nonprofit who's celebrating an anniversary this year. Coastal Hospice, 45 years they've been in service to our local community. Joining me today to talk about the organization is Holly Murray, the Chief Clinical Officer, and Lauren Blair, the Business Development Director. I think one of the first things I'd like to kind of jump in with is, because there's a lot of people out there that they kind of know what hospice is, sure, but they're just confused. They don't have the right information. So let's first talk about hospice. What is hospice care and when is it needed?
Hospice care is actually care that's provided in a home setting, whether it's a patient's home or an assisted living, or we have 2 inpatient units. And it's care that's provided by a team approach, really concentrating on the patient and comfort and symptom management and quality of life.
As I was reading some of the notes, it's not like we're giving up. This is it's over. You know, this is it. We're done. There's more to it than that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The big focus, hopefully, we can give the community is getting in early so that the services that we do provide to the patients and the families can be fully taken advantage of. So the patients can really receive the benefits of hospice care.
Now, you both represent Coastal Hospice.
Yes.
You know, that was kind of just hospice in general.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about Coastal Hospice, because you're a nonprofit organization right here in the area. And I guess people don't really know who you are until they need to know who you are.
Yes.
So can we talk about kind of the history of Coastal Hospice, how long you've been here?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So we've been serving the 4 lower counties, so Wicomico, Somerset, Dorchester, and Worcester for over 45 years now. We just celebrated our 45th anniversary in July, so that was really exciting. But yeah, so we were founded by, just a small group of like-minded people who saw really another country kind of doing what's now known as hospice care, and really wanted to get in. We were really kind of the pioneers of hospice, sure, in the area, so to speak. And so we actually started in a office, or not even office, a closet of Trinity Church in Salisbury.
Really?
It was like one person in a closet, and going out and seeing people in their homes and providing the care. And from that, we grew into an almost 200 staff organization. And it's just been amazing to see and to hear about all of the changes over the past 45 years.
Yeah, the evolution from a closet to what you are today. And obviously, we know that your services are so needed in our community. There's families, there's people that, I experienced hospice with a family member, not here locally, but I call them angels because they are amazing.
Yeah,
I just don't even know how they do what they do. So let's talk about, the earlier, the better. I know that you had mentioned that, and people don't really want to think about that.
No.
It's the H word.
Yes, the dreaded H word.
It really is. It's unfortunate. And as we educate as much as possible the community, but there's a stigma. Sure. And, it is something that education is the best way to, promote our services and hopefully get more information out there.
So when you say early, can we, not even that we talk about a scenario or anything, but what does that mean? Early means we have a family member who's not doing well. Like, what does early mean?
Yeah. Our patients have life-limiting illnesses. So it's not just cancer. It can be, kidney. It can be neurological conditions, anything that's life-limiting that's basically medically deemed end stage.
Okay.
But not necessarily last month's end stage. Obviously, there are patients that there's treatments that aren't working any longer, or there are no further treatments available, or maybe they just don't want to continue to go back and forth to the hospital. Having services brought to their home and having our nurses, our CNAs, our social workers We have volunteers. We have lots of support for spiritual support and bereavement support. So it's a team approach, and I think that it really, the earlier we have everybody in the situation in the home, the more benefit that the caregiver and the patient can receive.
I think it's interesting, and I bring up this example because my grandmother had it, and all of a sudden she was like better-ish.
Yeah. Yes.
And then didn't need hospice anymore until later on she needed it again. But it was like you graduated from hospice?
Yes.
We like to use that word, graduation.
Absolutely.
Does
Yeah,
that
we do.
happen?
Yeah.
All the time. Yes.
Okay.
All the time people graduate from hospice. It's a common misconception that you go on hospice and that's it. And there's, maybe you only have a few days left or something like that. But, but in fact, people who are on hospice care statistically live longer than people who don't go on hospice care for similar diagnosis. So approximately 30 days longer. So, I think that people, of course, have that notion in their head, if I go on the hospice, I only have a few days left of life. But really, there's people, like our loved ones that have outlived that, have actually gotten better.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's having some, people now holistically looking at you as an individual. We may have a primary care physician, we may have a cardiologist, a pulmonologist, all these different doctors all prescribing different things.
Right.
Maybe there's different, medications that are interacting with each other. Maybe there's some that kind of make you feel more sluggish. So now in hospice, you have one physician, a team with a nurse and a certified nursing assistant, all these people who are overlooking you as a whole and able to see, okay, Mr. Smith has been on this, blood pressure medication, say, for 20 years, and he really doesn't need that now. Like, let's take that away. Things like that we're kind of able to look at and to say, okay, let's do that. And maybe they do perk up a little bit. Maybe they feel a little better. And now it's, for people who maybe have been living on their own, now they have the social support. So someone coming into their home, or they have someone to come in and help them make sure they're taking their medications, properly. Make sure their oxygen is on, making sure they get a sandwich, those things. And really just, the social supports are just so huge, from just even our nurses, our spiritual care, our social workers.
And it just depends on how often you need them, right? Every person's different.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like they're going to come all day, be there all day long, every day.
Right.
It just depends on the patient.
Just depends on the need. But the great thing is, our nurses are able to come in and actually teach the family, how to care for their loved one. I'm not clinical, so I wouldn't know how to, make sure that, my dad got from the bedside commode back to bed properly without maybe hurting myself or him. So our staff is able to come in and train the caregiver so that they feel confident and they feel more prepared in order to be able to take care of their loved ones too when we're not there.
I think that's important. The caregiver piece is so big because they're doing everything they can to provide comfort to their loved one. And sometimes they don't know how to do it properly.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
So I think that education and even just support too. So it's not just here's how to do this. It's how are you doing?
Yes.
And talking to them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because they're going through a lot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay. So we talked about the early. I think that, and we have so much to talk about, but I also recognized as a family member that the hospice team, treated my grandmother with so much dignity. Like there was a nurse combing her hair. And I'm like, in that moment, I'm thinking, she's at the end of life and he's combing her hair.
Sure.
There's something to be said about that because that is like, you're not, I don't want to say dying with dignity, but it is that piece.
Absolutely, sure.
That I was blown away because, I mean, obviously I just started crying because it's so emotional. But just the way that she was treated, that takes a lot. That takes someone very special because I feel like your team that's doing the treating, they're special.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're professionals and they are excellent at what they do, and they also have this hospice heart, and it shows in everything they do. It's wonderful to see, and the families remember their team.
Oh yes,
they do
for a long time.
Yes. So obviously, as a nonprofit, with such a what was your staff? You have how large is your organization?
198 staff. Yes.
And you cover
we
all counties?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
That's a big job. So you have people going all over to visit people in their homes or facilities.
Yes.
Okay.
We can do nursing, like you said, nursing facilities, assisted living communities, as well as, again, the majority of our patients we see right in their homes.
Because that's where they want to be.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
where it's comfort.
Yeah.
How do you, as far as you're a nonprofit, I keep saying that because you have to raise money.
We sure do.
You need to fundraise.
Yes, we do. We do tons of different things throughout the year. We do multiple events. Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurances do cover hospice. However, they don't cover everything that goes along with it. We have such a large staff and we have such a large area that we serve. And we also provide some free services in the community too that enable us to be able to help kind of spread more around. So in order to do that, we need our fundraising throughout the year. So right now we're in the middle of our Angel Appeal. And that is, you'll see trees throughout the 4 lower counties that we have on the lower shore. And they have ornaments on there that say you can write in memory of or in honor of your loved one and make a donation and put that on. We put that on the tree for you on whatever trees kind of in your area or in the area, maybe your loved one would like to, passed away in or even is still with us. And so we have those all around the shore. We have lots of different events throughout the year. We have our Coastal Walk and 5K we just had in October, and that was a really fun event. Lots of opportunities, our Taste of Finer Things and our
because there's a restaurant one I feel like I saw recently.
Yes, that one. So on Blues on the Bay.
And
at Mackey's in Ocean City, and of course Mackie and Pam Stansel. We have the Mackie and Pam Stansel House in Ocean Pines. They're huge supporters of Coastal Hospice, and Pam's mom was on hospice services. She just has a great testimony to hospice in general. But they have us there every year. They sold Mackey's and they still have us there every year. Yes, yes.
So the Stansel House. What? If people don't know, what happens there? Is that where people go to receive care?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So they kind of say, hey, I need my family member to receive care in this facility.
Right. And it can be a few different reasons that they are with 14 beds. I fix those up.
12 there, and it's 14
at the lake. So it started out as a hospice house, which was just residential for patients that just didn't have the caregiving support. Sort of like if you think about maybe an assisted living type of facility, but for hospice patients. We recently, I guess in the past couple of years, received licensing to take general inpatients, which are a level of care for patients that are experiencing significant symptom management difficulties in the home environment. So basically, it's covered by their insurance. They come and they have their symptom, whatever it may be, managed in an inpatient setting with doctors and nurses, kind of like expediting that, comfort so they can get back home. And then we have respite, which is for the caregivers. It's covered by Medicare and other insurances for caregiver support, so the patient can go and actually stay for up to 5 days usually. And the caregiver can have respite.
That is important too.
It's huge.
Because they're burning a candle at both ends. And, you can fizzle out very quickly. So they just need a little break.
Absolutely. I had a lady stop me not too long ago that she said, oh, you work for Coastal Hospice, right? And I was like, yeah. And she said, you guys were the reason I was able to go to my son's wedding. She said, we were caring for her mom. And she said, I did not ever have my mom out of my sight. I just, I wanted her with me all the time. She said, but I knew I just could not do that. So I was planning to not go to the wedding. And she said, the staff at Coastal Hospice talked to her about it and reassured her and said, your mom can come to our facility and stay there for however, 5 nights while you're gone. And we'll take care of her. You can call in anytime you want. You can check on her. We'll, provide all those services and take care of her. And this lady was like, I'm not just going to let anyone be with my mom all the time. She was very particular. But she said she did after, talking with our staff a few times. She said she did. She said, and I called not once, not twice, but all day long and checked on her. And they never got tired of hearing from me. And they reassured me that she was doing just fine. She said, and I went to the wedding and enjoyed myself. When I got home, mom was just fine, went back home. And she said she was so appreciative. She said her mom had passed since then, but she was just so appreciative that she did that, and that the staff helped her through that too. Because
she didn't want to miss her son's
No.
wedding.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that's so important to be able to, kind of get away, but
Yes.
still feel like they're being very well cared for.
Exactly.
Okay. That's just brought tears to my eyes, because you don't ever want to have to make those choices.
No. Of course not.
But, sometimes you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why the support is there. So the Stansel House, so that's kind of how that started.
Right.
Yes.
And then you have a place on the lake.
Yes.
Okay.
At Deer's Head Hospital Center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is larger?
It is a couple beds larger, but it's on the second floor of the Deer's Head Hospital Center. So it's a wing. And it's, it has a different feel than the rest of the building. It's warm, and we just renovated it not long ago. And it's like some paintings and photographs, and it's really
more like home.
Yeah, it's warm and cozy, and that's actually the Stansel House. It feels the same way, but same sort of idea there. We get a lot more of the general inpatient type of patients there from the hospital, so we can get them, there as a segue to going home.
Sure.
To make them comfortable before they get home. So
Well, and we, referrals. That's a big word in, the medical community. How does one make a referral to hospice? Can I even say that? You make a referral to hospice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So how would one go about doing that? If
anybody can do it.
Okay.
I hate to say the neighbor can, but obviously they have a really close relationship with the patient. But the patient themselves can just give us a call if they want to even have a visit for what we call informational visits with the team. Just to hear about what services we offer, how it would look in their lives. And so the patient, a loved one can call. It doesn't have to be the doctor. It can be someone close to the patient. And not to wait on that doctor referral. We always want to stress that, because if they just want to hear, about what we can do.
It's almost like they don't want to do it until the doctor says they need to do it.
That's very often.
Yes,
it does.
And we are there for the doctors too. Lauren's team definitely, but in the hospital, we like to, when we get a referral, we don't, when we're talking, we want them earlier. We don't necessarily want them to be, in an ED close to passing situation.
Sure.
But we are there to have those conversations for the doctors. So we want everybody to call us as early as possible. Primary care physicians too. We can have the conversation.
If someone's identifying that somebody needs it, then they just need to speak up, and you can take it from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think is there, I guess when a family knows that this is in their near future, is there a little bit of just hesitancy you don't have control anymore?
Yeah.
But they do. I mean, you're including them in conversations. This is not just, okay, we're handing grandma over and, go for it.
Yes, absolutely. It really is, when our team comes in, we're really a part of the family team. We're helping them to kind of adjust to this, to this caregiving role. Maybe they have just taken their loved one home from the hospital, and now they're dealing with a whole thing that they haven't done before, and they're having to do things for, mom, dad, husband, and wife, whoever it might be, that they've never done before. So we're really there, to provide that support, not only to that patient, but to that family or the friends, whoever whoever's caregiving for them.
Sure.
Because we see that's who's still going to be with us. And we do, and I was talking about some of the things that our fundraising provides. It's also free grief support to anyone in the community, regardless of whether or not their loved one has been on hospice. So we do.
Really?
Yes, we do. We provide it to anyone who needs it. We've done things as like when there's been issues at like schools, we've gone to schools and provided some grief counseling there. We have memorial gatherings all over the community. We do support groups in all the 4 lower counties for various, different topics sometimes. We've even done loss of a pet before. We just really want to be there as, the experts in bereavement and grief. So we're able to help with that. And it's, again, absolutely free to anyone in the community.
Because you don't know until you experience it.
Yes.
That how
Exactly.
hard it is.
Yes.
I feel. And I think that you just don't know.
Yeah.
So you are like, I think I need help, but I don't even know what that means.
Right.
And it could be one of those support groups.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now we're kind of winding down 2025, and as obvious, your services are so needed. What is the biggest challenge? Like, do you have growth in places that you didn't anticipate? Or what are some of the challenges that Coastal Hospice is looking at and saying, okay, we need to address this in the new year in 2026? Do you have certain...
Sure, definitely. Like we've been talking about today, just the late referrals. The people that are coming in, and one of the biggest misconceptions that we hear is, oh, you come onto hospice with 3 days or 4 days left to live, and really that's could be farther from the truth. But unfortunately, that does happen because we're seeing referrals coming in late, and people, maybe physicians waiting to refer their patients to later, or patients or families just kind of being hesitant to want our services. So we've been trying to do a lot more community education, trying to make sure that our community feels comfortable, again, with the H word, not, hoping that we can kind of dispel some of those myths and misconceptions for them and help them to be more comfortable and kind of know about us, hopefully before they even need us.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, hopefully kind of get that information.
Just an informational session.
Yes, exactly.
To gather the information. We're not doing anything yet. And then we'll be armed with good information when we have to make a decision.
Exactly. Because that's you feel out of control when you're forced to make a decision on the spot. If you have, the more information that we can gather, the more that we feel content that we can make a proper decision. But when it's thrown at us and it's like, oh, well, there's nothing left to do and go on hospice.
Right.
Well, there's always something left to do. We're always gonna care for our patients. We're always gonna do everything we can to support them and make sure that they have that dignity and quality of life even up to the end. But again, the earlier that we have the patients and the families with us, the more that we can provide that support for them.
I think something else that just, rings a bell to me is the level of comfort. So in the end stages, we'll say, the purpose could be just to keep them comfortable. You're not going to watch your loved one pass in pain and I think that is peace of mind too for the caregivers and the family members.
Yes.
Because it's all about, I remember grandma, she's like, I don't want anything to prolong my life.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go be with my Lord. And I said, well, the Lord's not ready for you yet, grandma. So I think that it was just, knowing that she's comfortable.
Yes.
And that's what your team will help provide.
Absolutely.
No matter the issue and the diseases that you deal with.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as we look into a new year, it's just keep educating the community like we're trying to do right now on, when to approach you. And anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody,
That's
anytime. In
fantastic.
fact, a lot of our referrals do come from patients or families themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll see, they'll read about it at a doctor's office maybe, or see, a commercial, or a lot of times it's families telling other family members or friends about hospice. And, I had this good experience with hospice. Here's what they did for my loved one.
Sure.
And so that's such a powerful, testimony to be able to share when you've had that firsthand experience too.
Do you have, we live in a very philanthropic area. Do you have a lot of supporters in our community who recognize what you're doing and whether it's donating or volunteering?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do.
In addition to we do have so many great supporters and donors who recognize, who maybe have had a personal connection, like Mackie and Pam Stansel or others, who see, have seen it firsthand for themselves, what hospice can do. But in addition to our donors, we have a lot of volunteers. We have, I think, more than ever right now, which is so great.
Yeah.
Really?
All over. Yes. And we put them to work in however capacity they want to. They help us with events, with for fundraising events, or they do, patient care things. They'll go to patients' homes and help them out at their home. They might be able to do some computer work or some filing and things like that around the office. If you're not, there's something for everyone.
Yes,
for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And like you said, even companionship could be that thing.
It's huge. It's huge.
Especially in our nursing homes and assisted livings. They do circle through the community facilities and see our patients. And actually we have one that does like a card game with a group of patients, including hospice, but others join in. She enjoys it a lot, and everyone loves it.
So they play cards?
Yeah, they just play cards.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, so if you wanted to volunteer, I think also too, you have a board that you work with who helps make, big decisions.
Right.
So how would someone go about just saying, I'd like to be a part of your organization, whether it's, I don't know how large your board is or, how many people you have room for, but how do people get connected?
Sure, you can visit our website. It's www.coastalhospice.org. There's tons of information about all of our services on there, as well as like how to get involved, volunteer, things like that, information about our board. Or you can just call us, 410-742-8732. That's our main number. Yeah.
Excellent. Is there anything big coming up in addition to what we've all talked about, like in the new year ahead? Or is there any new plans for a new fundraiser? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So this coming, tonight we have a guest bartending event in Wicomico. I think this will probably air after, but it is. But then we have, we're in the parade tomorrow, the Berlin Christmas parade.
That's really.
Yes, I'm so excited. We were in the Wicomico one on Monday and we won first place for our float. Yes, we did.
This is the first time we've
never
ever
done it.
been in a parade, and we won first place. So that's really cool.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And it was so great, for our staff. We were on, on the float and walking beside. It was so great for them to hear the positive feedback from the community. Like people would see, oh, there's Coastal Hospice. Like go Coastal Hospice. Like people were excited to see us, and it was such an uplifting that people were recognizing.
I think that's important to be involved in activities like that because it's not, because of the stigma that, an organization like yours gets. Yeah. It's, no, that's not all we do.
Right.
We do this and this and this too. And it's whether there's, it's positive.
Yes.
It's not just doom and gloom.
Exactly. Exactly. There's great things that, we see so much hope every day, and it's a funny word to think about when you think about hospice, but I feel like we just see so much, hope from caregivers, from family and friends, and just being able to be there with people through the worst time of their lives is just such a gift.
So as far as your fundraising, you said some of it's covered by Medicaid, Medicare.
Yes.
But do you have a certain number? I don't, you see these campaigns, we have this capital campaign or whatever that may be that you want to reach.
No, we want to keep going. There's no cap.
Limit.
No.
There's no limit. And with, Medicare reimbursements kind of change all the time and get slower for us. And, and then cost of living is higher. So it's kind of a hard adjustment. So, we're in kind of a situation right now where we need to be able to get as much as we can.
Patients that have needs, charity needs. We do take patients that have, as far as staying at the inpatient units, and the room and board cost is not covered by insurances or Medicare. So we are able to take those patients, and we want to be able to take those patients. But obviously, that's where some of our fundraising helps us out.
There's a cost involved.
Yes.
Exactly.
So it's not just automatic.
Right.
It needs to, the finances need to be in place.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
And we never turn away, if someone doesn't have insurance, we never turn anyone away for payment or anything like that.
Is your medical staff, I don't know. I mean, if there's a nurse, there's a hospice nurse. Is it different at all as far as the training? It's just
No, I mean, it's, we go back to the philosophy though, because a lot of our nurses, it's nice to have, a background in the med surg environment in a hospital, because the basic nursing knowledge you need.
Right.
But there's also that, I always call it the flip the brain upside down thinking with hospice, because it is about looking at the whole person, looking at using them as a gauge, and determining are they comfortable, are they not comfortable, figuring out how to make them comfortable so they can stop feeling or thinking about the disease and thinking more about what makes them happy and some goals that they might have.
Because that could be as easy as, you think of bed, if they're in a bed and they can't really move. I mean, that even wears on your body too. You don't even have to lift a finger, and it still takes a toll on your body.
Exactly. And I think, when you were talking about goals, I remember the gentleman who his goal was he wanted to ride his motorcycle one last time. And that
if you tell this story, I'm going to cry. Oh my gosh.
We're really making her cry.
So he wanted to ride his motorcycle one more time.
That was his bucket list thing. He's like, I'm not doing great. I want to get back on my motorcycle one more time. So we got him, people can still get physical and occupational therapy while they're on hospice care. So he did physical and occupational therapy. He got his medication straight and everything like that. And he rode his motorcycle several times, not once, not twice, several times after that. We have a picture of him that,
There's lots of those stories. It's really cool. And that's why we want to express getting in early so we can find out what those goals are. It might be something simple, but I had somebody that wanted to just go to Ruth Chris for dinner again because they enjoyed it. They lived in the neighborhood, but needed that portable oxygen concentrator.
Yes.
So being able to make that happen for him was huge, and for the caregiver. And but there's so many stories like that. But it's usually those, when we're not in crisis mode, we can really build that relationship with the family and figure out what plan of care is right for that patient and the family, and what goals need to be met. So
it's almost like the plan of care and the plan for the rest of their life, like what they have left.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is beautiful.
Yeah. And sometimes people will say, I want to make it till spring because my daughter graduates college or something like that, and we try to help them with their goals.
I was going to say, there's no guarantees, but you can say, if that's a goal, we're going to do what we can to help you live till spring, through spring.
Or goals like, I want to be able to, get to my, my friend's wedding, or get to somewhere that, maybe they need some strengthening to get to that level. And that's what
I never even thought about physical and occupational therapy while you're in hospice. Yeah. I guess, in your head, you automatically think, well, why even do it?
Right.
That's why you do it.
It's a short length of time, but it's for a purpose.
Yes.
Whether it's training the caregiver to just transfer the patient so that they can, enjoy the sunroom during the afternoons and using a Hoyer lift or something like that. But we do definitely have that.
It's the little things that I think that, I don't know, you don't realize how important they are until they are.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what someone wishes to do. Yeah. And you want to fulfill that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if people, obviously they just reach out to you, website, phone, give you a call, and they can support, they can volunteer.
Yes.
They can find out when all your great fundraisers are.
Yes.
I'm sorry I missed that, the restaurant one.
Yeah.
But I'm sure too that when you go to these events and function, it's lively, it's a good time, and it's all for a good cause.
Absolutely. There's, we also have on our website, you can visit not only our website, but we're on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, to check out all of our events and things. But they're all a great time.
That's fantastic.
And for a great cause. And it's nice to see, sometimes families or friends will come back and come to our events.
I was going to say,
it's great.
if I had I would definitely support you in that way, because it's like, I want to thank you and thank you in person.
Yes.
And see your face again.
Exactly. It's nice to see them again after everything. Yeah.
What if a family member or even the patient themselves decides, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I think I'm done with hospice. Are they able to kind of leave?
Yes. Yeah, they are. They actually can, what we call it is revocation, and it's revoking the hospice benefit.
Okay.
If they decide to do that, it's their choice. And I think a lot of people don't really know that. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they stay on and because they're enjoying the benefit of hospice,
Yes.
but it's their choice. We definitely don't, you're not locked in.
Yeah.
And you're not, committed to staying. So,
Okay, that's good to know.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think the main message there is don't wait. If you have a loved one who needs a little support, maybe a caregiver who could use some help, just pick up the phone and call Coastal Hospice. They're there, they're available to help you through that journey. I'm Jenni Pastusak. This is The Local Lens, and I'll see you next time.